This is the knife I designed. It was made by Benchmade for almost 12 years. The sales of this knife is what provides the income that allows me to spend all my time working on knife rights.
From this tiny room in a subdivision outside Phoenix, Doug Ritter runs Knife Rights, an organization dedicated to alleviating a problem you might not have known existed: oppressive knife laws.
There is no one who is proactively going around the country and working to get rid of knife bans. That's where we came in, a proactive, aggressive grassroots movement.
Knife Rights is essentially the NRA of knives, but much smaller. It's basically run by Doug and his wife and a lobbyist.
Fighting for your rights and a sharper future for all of us.
In the 11 years since Ritter founded it, it's helped make laws in more than 20 states more knife-friendly. In Texas, it successfully fought for a bill that made it legal to carry any kind of blade in public, even a sword.
What would be your example of the ideal state for knife laws?
You're standing in it. There are no illegal knives in Arizona, period.
Changing the laws in friendly red states is one thing, but for the past few years, Ritter's main project has been in tougher territory. New York City, where Ritter is mounting a constitutional challenge to an antiquated law that bans what are known as gravity knives. Gravity knives were outlawed in New York in 1958. The classic definition of a gravity knife is that it's any knife that opens by gravity alone, like this German World War II paratrooper's blade. But the New York law also says that a knife that can be opened by centrifugal force counts as a gravity knife. That is interpreted to mean that any knife that can be opened with a single wrist flick is potentially illegal, and that a lot of New Yorkers are walking around with knives they don't even know could get them in trouble.
Gravity knife enforcement in New York City is discrimination on steroids.
Marty LaFalce is a lawyer with the Legal Aid Society.
I'll see you tomorrow, okay?
A public defender service in Manhattan.
6,000 people arrested every year at the height of stop and frisk. 86% of those people, Black or Latino. Post stop and frisk, we've found that approximately 4,000 people are arrested every year for so-called gravity knife possession.
Did you know what a gravity knife was?
What a gravity knife was. I was like,
you were thinking like which one of my knives?
Which one of the knives was a gravity knife? I'm like, I didn't know. I had no idea.
In 2014, Roderick Prude was on his way to work when, he says, he was stopped by police officers who saw his chef's knives in his backpack. Searching him, they found a folding knife that he says he used to cut boxes on the job. He was charged with possession of a gravity knife, and because of some priors, the charge was bumped up to a felony.
Here you're charging me with a 3.5-inch pocket knife, and I got Chucky blades in my bag, you know? So, didn't make sense to me. For a pocket knife to have somebody's life ruined is crazy. It really is.
Every day, my colleagues and I represent clients who have been arrested for possessing knives that they've purchased at stores like Ace Hardware, AutoZone, Lowe's. And even if we can prove that our clients use the knives for work, in some cases, prosecutors still bring felony prosecutions. In the era of numbers-based policing, you see this dramatic increase in the prosecution of people who are possessing just common folding knives that are designed, marketed, and sold as work tools.
Last year, the New York State Legislature passed a law to change the gravity knife rule, but it was vetoed at the last minute by Governor Andrew Cuomo. Police groups and New York City politicians want to keep the law in place because they say it keeps New Yorkers safe. LaFalce and Legal Aid are now working with Knife Rights to challenge the law in court. The two organizations make for unlikely allies.
Never in a million years would I think that I would be working with a Second Amendment group on a criminal justice issue.
Doug Ritter has his own reasons for fighting the New York law. He's a knife purist. If there's a knife law, he wants it abolished. But Ritter says the problem with the New York law is more basic. It's so vague that it's impossible to know for sure you're following it.
Are these knives legal in New York?
There's no way to tell. That's the problem in New York City. You can never know your knife is legal because even if you can't wrist flick it open, if a police officer or prosecutor can, then your legal knife becomes illegal.
Let's try this one.
legal in New York?
Maybe. Maybe not.
I can't do it. Can you do it?
And the problem is, just because you can't do it, doesn't mean someone else can't do it. Oh, that's an illegal knife. One of our plaintiffs even showed his knife to 2 different cops on 2 different occasions, and they were not able to wrist flick it open, and so he thought he was safe. The 3rd cop he met on the street was able to wrist flick it open, and he went to jail. How in anybody's mind is that just?